Hi.
How are you?
Hello, how are you? Allie boy.
Nikki, nice to meet you.
Nice to see you again. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well myself. Can't complain. So it's very nice to see you again. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to talk to me a little bit about your payroll system and what we might be able to do with you. So, how do you know Bob again, if you don't mind refreshing my memory?
I met Bob when I first came to Atlanta looking for space. A mutual friend introduced us, and we sort of hit it off. Had some mutual interest. We both like baseball, and
Perfect.
sort of went from there.
So, are you a big sports fan then?
Oh yeah, love the Braves. Love the Braves.
They're a pretty good team.
Yeah.
Pretty good team to like. Perfect. So tell me a little bit about your business. How did you get started? You know, you're an entrepreneur, so how did you come up with the idea to start an IT business?
Well, I've always been interested in IT. That's what I studied in school, and I worked for a couple companies out of college doing IT work, but always in the back of my mind wanted to own my own business.
Okay.
And that opportunity came about 10 years ago. And so I made the jump and opened the store down in Tallahassee.
What made you open in Tallahassee? Anything specifically?
I'd gone to school in that area, so I had a lot of contacts. I knew it was a growing city, and my wife, and actually I was dating her at the time, lived there, so that there was a lot of reasons that we decided to go to Tallahassee.
I gotcha. Women are a big factor, aren't they? Let's see. And it sounds like your business is pretty successful. You know, for a dream come true, it almost sounds like with your business expanding, you have multiple locations. Is that correct?
Yes, we've got three, counting the new store in Atlanta. Yeah, we're very pleased with the success we've had so far. We've been very blessed.
Good. It sounds like you're just going to keep growing, so that dream's just going to keep expanding with it too.
That's our goal.
Good. Fantastic. So I'm with ADP, and we specialize in payroll. And so you're a growing IT business. You manage IT so other customers don't have to. We manage payroll so other people don't have to as well. So I just want to talk to you a little bit about your current system that you have in place right now. What keeps you as a CEO who is in charge of a business, an entrepreneur, what keeps you up at night concerning your payroll system that you currently have?
Well, my wife handles the payroll, so when she's not happy, that keeps me up at night.
Happy wife, happy life.
That's right. And recently, we're actually using the payroll program that I wrote the software for, and we've had and I've sold it to several clients of my company, and we've had some issues with the tax reporting supposedly not being accurate. I've got 3 clients that have sued me over that. So it's got us concerned on our own end that are the taxes correct, so that's been a big headache. For our own company, making sure the taxes are correct before we submit them and then dealing with these lawsuits. So I have to say that's kept me up at night, several nights, worrying about both of those.
Right. And lawsuits are a big deal, especially for a growing company. So what effects is that having on your company as a whole so far?
It's costing us some money, and it's costing me just a lot of headache. It's just been a hassle, and I'm taking my focus away from where it needs to be, growing the business, having to deal with lawyers and depositions and all those kinds of things.
Okay, what is your main concern for your business as a CEO? You obviously want your company to grow, so what is your main focal point or goal in terms of your role as a CEO? What do you want to spend most of your time doing to make your company grow?
I want to spend most of my time thinking strategically about where the company's is headed, looking at big picture. I want to be caught up in the weeds, if you will, of the day-to-day operation. And as we're looking to expand, that takes a lot of forethought about where should we go, what resources are we going to need in place, and those kinds of things.
Absolutely. So you said that you wrote your own payroll system.
Yes.
Do you mind walking me through that, just how that works currently?
Well, the employees report their hours into Alex, my wife. We pay every 2 weeks. She takes that information, keys it into the software program, and then it kicks out all the payroll reports, the pay stubs, and then she goes in and we do direct deposit. She goes in and keys that information in through the bank to each of our employees' checking accounts.
Perfect. And does she do this at a computer when she is entering all of these hours?
She sometimes she does it on her Android, Samsung Android device. It'll work both ways.
Okay. So it's on a computer, but you also have a mobile app to go along with your program?
Yes.
Perfect. And how much time does she spend doing the payroll and everything that's associated with it?
About a day every 2 weeks. We pay every 2 weeks, and it takes her about a day to process the payroll.
The entire day?
Yeah.
Okay, what else does she do for you in terms of your company? What other roles does she take on?
She's over the financial department. We've got a bookkeeper that does a lot of the day-to-day data entry, bookkeeping type things, but she oversees that. She's probably spends 3 days a week working for the business.
She plays a major role in the business as well.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and you mentioned taxes were a huge issue with your app currently. How do you go about determining the appropriate taxes, or how do you have that programmed in your software currently?
Well, we've obtained all the tax rates from the different taxing districts, and then they're keyed into the system. We're still trying to figure out how those are not correct. It's got me puzzled how they're coming out wrong. I don't think I made a mistake writing the software, but we're just not sure. We're still trying to get all that figured out. The lawyers are saying I better figure that out sooner rather than later.
Absolutely. Definitely, just in terms of your small business, it can make a huge difference in terms of the lawsuits and everything. How valuable is your time to you, and as well as your wife, Alex, just the time that you both spend in terms of your business, how valuable is that in terms of moving forward and growing?
It's very valuable. Alex also does teaching on the side, so she stays really busy with the work she does here and then teaching at the university. She doesn't have a lot of free time. And then I'm sort of the same way. When it's your own business, you work 7 days a week if you have to.
Absolutely.
And when you have issues come up, like we've had with this tax situation, it's really caused us to spend more time on the business than we would really like to. I'd like to be going to watch more Braves games, to be honest.
I understand completely. Okay, if you could change anything, just in general, outside of your tax system with your payroll, what would you change?
Well, the other issue we have is we've got a lot of part-time employees that are paid hourly, and I don't know if it's just the generation, but we have a very tough time getting them to report their hours in time. So it's like Alex is always having to follow up. I don't know if there's a solution for that, but that's a headache. If we can eliminate having to track people down to get their hours every 2 weeks, that would be a big help.
Right. How do they currently submit their hours?
They email them into her. They've got a form they fill out.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I believe that we can definitely create a great partnership. We might be able to manage some of these issues. That way you can spend more time, with your wife or going to those Braves games, as you said. So if I heard you correctly, your main issues are, number one, taxes, making sure that those are correct, especially with your software. You want to make sure that those are working properly and there's not an issue that's ongoing.
Yes.
The second one is you do want to grow your business, and so your time, you would like to spend a little bit more in other aspects of your business. And then you also have an issue with your part-time employees' hours, and so making sure that those are in on time. So if we could possibly come up with a solution to fix all of those issues to make your business run smoother, is that something that you might want to invest in potentially?
Definitely, yes.
Definitely. Is there any way that Alex could be here, since she plays such a crucial role in the payroll process in general? Is there any way that she could be here just to get her input as well?
Yes, she's typically in the office on every Thursday and Friday. We'll just have to find one of those days when she's going to be here and she's got time, when she's not doing payroll, that she could sit down for a few minutes.
Right, absolutely. We can definitely do that. Okay, so like I said, we do specialize in payroll. So we are not only a software program, but we are also a service. So this is what we do as a business. 1 in 6 Americans use ADP for their payroll. So this is what we specialize in. Like you specialize in IT, you're on the cutting edge, we're on the cutting edge of payroll as well. So the way that we handle taxes within our software is we automatically have them gathered according to district, region, state, all of that in our database that is accessed through our system and our app. So whenever you go ahead and enter those, or when Alex would go ahead and enter those hours, the taxes will already be calculated for that, and it's continually updated. So that way you don't have an issue. Maybe your issue is, the taxes aren't updated, something changed. You don't have to worry about that. You don't have to continually look for those changes and update those in your software system. We can do that for you as well. And with the part-time and hourly employees, the hours, you said that they just have difficulty submitting their hours, and Alex has to go and track them down. Right. We have one system that I believe would work very well for you. We have a biometric scanner, and what that does, as your employees will come in, we will set up a biometric scanner at the door or some prevalent location where they put their thumbprint up to the scanner and it scans them in. And that automatically is stored in our database, so they scan in and scan out, and it's automatically updated. That way, you know when they're there, you know when they're not, and it's obviously them because of their thumbprint. So Alex won't have to go around and beg for their hours or remind them. It's already going to be there, and it's going to be easy, quick, convenient for them. They're just going to put their thumb up to it and move right on. Is that something that you think would be a good investment for your company?
Yeah, I think that would work really well.
Okay.
Patty, sounds expensive. Is it a very expensive piece of equipment to install?
The equipment itself, you will have to pay for it, but with the time that you're going to save and the time that Alex is going to save, it'll pay for itself eventually. So it's something that's definitely worth considering in terms of price and time. You said that your time is very valuable. You want to think about the big picture. This in the big picture of things is going to save you a lot of time and Alex a lot of time. That way you can continue growing your company and expanding. Perfect. Okay, and excuse me. Are there any other concerns, so far in terms of our ADP software that you can think of that you're not quite sure about just yet?
Is that an answer?
No, I don't think so.
No? Okay. And you said that you have an app that goes through the computer as well as an app for her mobile phone or Android. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah, it's Android. I don't like Apple products. I only work with Android devices.
Okay. Our program is also run through the computer. We also have an app that can work on your Android device as well. So you don't have to worry about that, whether she is teaching at the university and has some downtime, or she's on the road, you're going to a Braves game, whatever. She still has hours to put in. If you decide not to do the biometric clock, which automatically puts those hours in for you, she will be able to have that other option as well.
Okay. So if you do the biometric, it sends it directly to the system, so there's no rekeying of information.
No, it's automatically stored in our database, and all Alex has to do is go in every 2 weeks when you're going to process the payroll, just verify it, make sure that it's correct, just scan over it, and then submit process payroll, and those hours are already entered. So she doesn't have to worry about tracking down those part-time employees.
Okay.
Okay. Do you have any other concerns so far?
No, that all sounds good so far.
Okay, well, is there any reason why we shouldn't get started, improving your company through ADP and a partnership?
Only that I want to get Alex involved because I don't want to risk divorce if she's not involved in the decision.
Absolutely.
So I'd like for her to
sign it. That's
Do we have
to sit in and hear what you've already shared with me and make sure she buys into the decision.
Absolutely. I want all of us to be on the same page. If she, here's what I have to say and really thinks that this is a great benefit for your business just in terms of, time and the benefits that we can deliver to you, would you be okay with implementing the software?
Yeah, subject to, we're going to need to see the pricing to make sure that
Absolutely.
it's competitive.
her answer
But based
to
on
the
what you
price
told me,
concern?
I'm very
The correct
interested.
way to handle it?
Absolutely. And in terms of the time that you're going to be saving and investing more into your business, you're going to be saving money through using our software. So, all right. Is there a day of the week that would really work for you as well? For both of you?
Any Thursday or Friday
Okay.
will probably work. I just have to check with her schedule. But she's here every Thursday and Friday.
Okay, she's here every Thursday and Friday, so next Thursday would be a suitable time for you?
Yeah, let's put that down tentatively, and then I'll shoot you an email after I confirm with her.
Definitely. Is there a specific
In
time?
the afternoon, 2 o'clock or after.
Okay, so 2 o'clock next Thursday?
That'll work. That'll work.
And then we'll send an email just to confirm and make sure that it works for the both of you.
Okay.
So, thank you very much for your time, I really
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Howard. Good job. So how did you feel about the presentation? I mean, really? How did it go?
I felt okay. I think I did a better job with questions.
Mhm.
I just feel like the more I'm going to practice, the better I'm going to get at the presentation and the flow. I just feel like it doesn't necessarily flow all together like I would like it to.
Mhm.
And that's just going to come with me doing it over and over and over and figuring out how to transition from point to point.
When you get nervous, you get verbal. And you instead of asking a question, you ask a question that's this long instead of this long. And what happens is the buyer doesn't quite understand the question. It's not concise, so being more concise on your questions. You are pausing ahead of time, but if you'll just pause just a moment and practice and practice and practice about asking the questions will cause you to just ask the question the way you practiced it. Let's see. I like the fact that you asked the other roles for Alex. And that's a good idea, because if she does, and he identifies that that's important, now you can play that against his. You told me that these were very important. What if she spent another day on this instead of payroll? Gives you leverage later. Now on taxes, I wrote taxes question mark.
I don't feel like I handled those like I should have. In general, I don't feel like I asked.
Well, you got out of him that he's got this problem. But you should, I wrote this down. At ADP, because we process, 1 out of 6 Americans gets their paycheck from ADP. It's not we process payroll.
Is that what I said?
No, you said 1 in 6, I forget how you said it, but the truth is 1 in 6 Americans receives their paycheck from ADP. Because we have 1 in 6, we know the taxes in every political subdivision. And if we get it wrong and you get sued, we pay.
I needed to hit on. That's.
Ooh.
There was something else that I
Bam.
knew I was forgetting, but I just couldn't. Okay.
Right. That's powerful. To him, it's, whoa, man, I wish I had you before. I wouldn't have started this damn app. I think that you pause effectively. you make really good eye contact, and then before you answer him, and Adrian, you have to learn how to do this, it's to pause and reflect.
How long is too long to pause? A second?
Did she pause too long? Nope.
No, I wasn't saying that.
Yeah, if any time he gives you information and you write and pause for 1, 2, 3 seconds, it's
It's
okay.
okay.
It's okay.
Because then at that point I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to say something right now.
Nope. You qualified one thing. You talked about, in your transition, you said, if we could possibly do this, would you? Don't use a qualifier.
If we can't.
Just
do
say,
this.
I'm confident we will be able to blah, 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 blah. I'm confident we can help you solve this problem and this one and this one. Now, I'd like to spend a few minutes explaining to you how ADP would do that. Now, you use the verb invest in. and
I
that-
realized as soon as I said that I didn't like it.
It didn't feel good, did it?
No.
It is, it's not an investment, it is,
Like a,
I'm trying to think of the,
because I didn't like it as soon as I said it, but I didn't know what else to say.
Wait, why don't you
Almost
like
like a-
invest?
Makes it too monetary. Like it's a
It's-
transaction.
And
well, maybe it's my own bias, because I used to be in the investment business. It's, an investment confers return, and this is a cost.
right.
So this is really something I have to pay.
Partner, is that a bad word?
Partner is a great word.
I was gonna say, I feel like I said that at some
did,
other point.
you did.
But
Let me explain to you how we're going to solve this problem. And then the investment is, the money is what flows between that, but you're trying to help them solve problems.
right.
The first time in your presentation, when you explained what ADP was going to do to solve this problem, you did a very good job. You just need a trial close right there.
When
The first thing was
The taxes.
taxes.
We're
You explained it to him, and then you had a little pause, and you went to number 2.
the only thing is just because he said that there were 3 problems,
Mhm.
and so I didn't want to just address one problem and then say, okay, are we done? Well,
Well,
not
you wanna
okay, are we
check.
done?
You want
but-
to check to make sure that this answers you. And at any point, you don't have to ask, do you have any problems? You just close, and if there are, he's going to ask you.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think with the whole trial close thing, I'm not like great at it, but I feel like you are thinking that it's way more of a, okay, can I get the sale now? But I think that Derry, he wants us to more use it as, is this making sense to you? Is that right? And I think you're seeing it more as, pull out the
Like
paper and
this
sign
is
it
it,
here.
yeah.
Trial close just checks. Is the system that I just discussed solve your problem? So you can say, how's that sound? I think it sounds good. Good. Second, trial close. Close that, because once you've got all 3 of those and you close them off, then all you have to
Is
do.
there
It's just making sure there are no objections to that particular thing that you
No,
just
you
talked
don't want to
about.
say objections to that.
Right, but that's kind of what you're doing.
Exactly.
It's that
Right.
one's done, it's folded in the next page, now we're moving to this.
When you're doing that trial close, just brainwash yourself that he loves your product. So you have that confidence coming through with it. Don't just trial close like, does this sound like something you want to do?
Yeah.
Because there's not going to be any emotion in it. So just in your head, he loves what you're saying.
You do it with kind of a qualifier. Is this okay with you? Right. Because you don't like the conflict, so you don't want any trouble, but just invite the objection. It's okay if it has an objection. It's not bad. Remember, objections show that he's interested. You said if you don't decide to use the biometric system.
As soon as I said that, I hated it.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm confident you're really going to like this biometric system. Do you have any concerns? Now, price at the end. So let's talk about this price issue, because he brought up the price, which is the biometrics, right? How much does this cost? It's natural because now you pose that as a solution. Should you answer the price there?
The reason that I didn't was because he said, I'm really focused on big picture. I want to make sure that the company is growing, my time is important, and yada, yada, yada. And then the reason, and Dad talked about it a little bit. He's not concerned necessarily about numbers as a CEO, but making sure that it's a good investment for the time that you're,
And
does that make
However,
sense?
It does, but in this exercise, you're gonna be asked to quantitatively prove.
Okay.
And so you're gonna have to probe to find how they spend their time, what's that worth. You have to probe
Okay.
there to do a value analysis. The value analysis is, you've got to convey to him that, well, in businesses, they're always, what you always have to focus on is reducing their cost or driving their revenues. It's the only two things that they're concerned about.
Mhm.
So this is reducing the cost and the concern you got over your lawsuit. Now, if the lawsuit, if it's so strong, he may say, hey, listen, I want to do this. Now, what's this cost? Is this expensive? No, it's not very expensive. Well, this is a major reduction. Okay, well, let's talk about getting this together. If the lawsuit is really the important thing. I can tell you, any CEO is going to say, okay, now what's this going to cost me? Very matter of fact. It cost me this and this and this and this. Okay, so I've got 100 employees, so it's going to cost this much every pay period. How's that sound to you? That's reasonable. If we can release these headaches. Now, I suspect you're going to have to do, you're going to quantify the value analysis. Just be prepared to do that. So in practice, you're going to be listening for costs. And I want you to be able to translate, go to your sheet, and say that's going to be $150. You're paying this, that's $450. Add that. It's really obvious to me, Mickey, that the cost of these is the same, and we're going to take this lawsuit and we're going to help you solve it. Okay.
So during the needs portion, she should have uncovered how many employees, because she's got to know that,
Didn't do that.
Yeah.
the number of locations and the number of employees.
Right.
Yeah.
So anything you've got to do to come up with your price, you better find that out.
Yeah.
And if he mentions using a service or anything, and I'll just automatically ask for the price of it, even if he's not paying for it, it's better to ask, because it could be a hidden cost you didn't know about. So always
And what is the cost of that? And
Which there was for him. He wrote the software, but he's paying this accounting firm $400 a month to deal with his tax issues.
And because he wrote the app, there are people who are supporting the app inside, right? And it appears to me that you could deploy those people that are working on your app in other ways, in more productive ways.
I have a question about the payments. So we need to treat each company as its own monthly fee and its own implementation.
Each location.
Right, sorry, yeah. As its own implementation cost and its own monthly
Yep,
fees.
yep.
So then what if that cost is more? And we just have to add more value to our, okay. I mean, and it's there for this, absolutely.
That's the price.
Mhm.
And then you've got to accentuate value. If you don't have a cost advantage, you've got to accentuate value someplace else.
Yeah, and so this is the first time I think it just clicked with me, the cost, but I want to see if it's right. So you've got the 150 for just the regular old package that is good.
Implementation.
Right, and so then this is simple.
What's involved in implementation?
I have no idea.
It's just a startup.
They come in. and
Getting
take
in all the
care of
information from all the employees and,
Exactly. Building the data, doing the training.
I like that. Okay, hold on one second. And so then, the second half, I don't want to forget these terms. The second half is what has always tripped me up, but I think it just clicked. So there are all of these options, and they can get them all if they want. But if they get
I think they're à la carte.
right,
Choose one, okay.
but if they get one, it's really these two. But either way, they're going to have to pay the $200 implementation for that as well. So they're going to have to pay that implementation for the biometric clock. Does that look right?
They'll have to like pay $200
To
for
know
it
them
to
option.
be.
200 per company, and this is not location. It's
So
per-
so that he would just have to pay that once.
That's right.
Okay, and
Looks
this,
like that to me. 125 per month per clock. A clock would be at a location.
right. Oh wait, so per clock, badge, or biometric, so per month whether they do it bi-weekly or weekly? Because that says per pay
Yeah,
period.
it'd be month. Look
Okay.
at it like algebra, like that 125 is just your flat.
Yeah.
125.
A month, and then this is $78.95. If they're paying you bi-weekly, that's going to be two. Okay, and so then this,
No, wait a minute. This is different than this.
right?
See, a time clock is different than a badge or a biometric clock. A time clock is the old thing, you push your card in and it
Yes.
records you're there, you're back. This,
Per
It's the same
clock.
price.
oh, wait.
I think it's the same price for all three.
It is, it is. It's clock,
Just per month.
badge, or biometric clock.
Oh, so whether they stamp it in,
Yep.
do that.
So if you want an automatic system that identifies that this employee at this wage worked on this time, so there's no delay. It
This
just
is right there.
somebody has to maybe confirm or do some
They're gonna have to
check.
confirm it, yeah.
I would say don't automatically go to that when you're selling the ADP unless they mention something with people
The hours.
logging in for each other.
Which you
Just
did.
use it as an additional thing, don't use it as a definite,
Okay.
go to the biometric clock.
And
So
then
you-
this, we've never really had a time.
Web-based timesheet.
I guess with Mike Gill was the
That's
one
for
time that
people-
they kind of, they are working off location.
Well, if
That-
they,
Isn't
a
that
biometric clock would be something that they would use when people come into the company.
Right.
If they're not, if they're
Working
external,
from home. or
web-based
whatever.
timesheet is, do you work on campus? It's like TopNet.
Okay,
How
no,
do
I
you
don't,
submit
but
your,
okay.
okay, you submit your hours, it's like under employee services, then you submit it, and then it goes to my boss. My boss approves that, and
Okay.
it keeps going.
So if they have anybody that works on another location.
It's like, so they can submit their time without you having to be the submitter.
Mhm.
You still have to verify it and stuff.
So
Yeah.
when we're going through and we're saying, you know, that we think this, if you were to choose this option, or should we just present the option that seems most logical for them?
exactly.
Okay.
You're listening to them and you're gonna make a recommendation.
Okay.
And that is in your presentation. So you gotta make sure in the needs-based portion that you ask, how do employees, how do you get the time that how do you record the time that they're working for you? It's a critical question. And then you say, are there ever any issues regarding your employees clocking in on time,
That's
doing it
also
correctly,
glitches.
any
Mhm.
fraud and that sort of thing? You might ask that. No, not a problem.
They don't need it.
Probably not. So that means,
Should I then ask, you know, do all your employees work on site?
This is,
I don't, because that wouldn't necessarily mean that they were off-site, because we use it, I mean, we're all at honors college, but we all enter it
onto a spreadsheet.
ourselves.
And so that
And then it goes.
his wife doesn't have to track them down or whatever.
Neither of these do they have to track them down.
Right. It's just a different
One's a
option.
web-based and one is the biometric. And the biometric is an issue for what?
Is an issue
Why is it a benefit?
because then you're gonna have the exact hours and it's automatic. You're not gonna have
Is it
any
the hours?
delay.
Person.
It's the person.
Oh,
There's no fraud, it's me. It's
Okay.
not Bobby Joe signing me in, which is an issue.
okay.
Some people will, not, although it's unethical, some people will sign people in as if they were working. This happens,
All the time.
not all the time, but if you have a biometric, then, so the issue is, have you ever had any issues with sign-in problems from employees? Someone else signs in someone else, are there? And he'll tell you.
Okay.
Then that gives you biometric, because it costs more. So unless he's got a problem, he's not gonna pay more for it.
And with this, that's
That's just
Basi-
every time that you process a payroll. So if you enter it on this
right.
web
But if they don't want any of this,
That's all the cost is.
Yeah.
They don't want that.
but so his wife's just still gonna be
his wife is
typing it
still gonna be
in.
putting in the hours, and every time she processes payroll, this is what it is.
What we might need to do is, we need to get where that is second nature, like the cost. So we might need to make flashcards, I know it sounds dumb, but where it'd be like TLM option every 2 weeks, and then calculate the price. So whenever it hits you, you're gonna be
It's
good at
there.
calculating it.
Right, good idea.
Okay.
So Kurt, when they present the price, do they just scribble it on a piece of paper? What's the best way to?
That's what I would do. I would calculate it, and you would say, current, today, current system, blah, 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 ADP, blah, 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 blah. Boom. From my calculation, in your current system, you pay this, with ADP, you would pay that.
Do you think we should make maybe a
Like
template for like taking notes that would have a section for that, like done in Word, where that when they get the information, they just fill it in? Like you know how you have
It's like,
like
No,
something
like-
You
like,
mean in the presentation itself?
just like having a notebook where it'll have a section for the needs and another section for the math and stuff. Does that make sense? So it'd
Are
be
you
like
talking
cost
about-
of them and then cost of us, like a section write it down. Would that make it easier, or?
Are you talking
That would
about?
be okay. There are, salespeople usually have some kind of mini
Yeah, I made one.
proposal they can do. And so they can write,
Like I have one for myself.
it's preliminary.
I've got costs and stuff in a section, and then I have people who are gonna be needing certain stuff, and I have it divided, so in my head it makes sense, but I don't know if that'd make it easier for when they're under the stress of being in the room, if they have that thing to hold on to, that might be something to get confidence.
So we're simple, so they could put current system, ADP,
Right.
cost.
Right, so in the bottom left corner might have an area for the cost, where it just says their system's cost, and then that way, or current costs, where they can, when they find out, oh, they're paying $400 for their accountant, they can make that note there, and then it'll be ingrained, they'll look there whenever
They'll
they
look
get their
there.
costs.
That's not
I think that's a good idea.
Yep. And then what you do is you just turn it around.
And
It's
how,
always so easy.
Yeah.
I'm
Mm,
sorry, I'm so comfortable with like the pauses and so uncomfortable with having any time where neither of us are talking. How long is appropriate? Because I'm the type that if I have to do a calculation, I can do math, but like I'm gonna be doing it while he's speaking and telling me relevant information.
No, that's not when you do it.
When's the right time to take a second?
So he's gonna say, what's it cost? And you're gonna say, oh, let me do the figure. Let me figure it out. You're going to, you can bring your sheet out. This right here says it's gonna be $87.40 per pay period, $87.45.
And you can even
Implementation
have
is
it.
$150 there, and your cost is this. You just fill it out, and you do the math, and you say, from my calculation, this. How's that look to you?
Okay.
Yeah.
That would be
It's
really
gonna cost a
awesome.
little bit more, but you're not gonna have problems with this lawsuit.
Mhm. You're
And,
gonna get that time back.
and Alex is gonna be able to do this and this and this for just an extra $100 a month. You don't have to equate Alex's value. You can do it is this worth that to you? It's gonna say, yeah, if I get a whole day and it's gonna be down to maybe, if it's just half an hour, that would be brilliant. She'd love it. Sign right here. And you're gonna bring in, whether we get you an ADP or you use somebody else's, a subscription form. You're just gonna slide it across and say, I just need your signature right there. That's how we do it.
So when they get to that point, do they verify, they go through and calculate ADP's numbers and then say, while we're doing this, let's go ahead and verify what you're paying currently. And in the other column, go back through and say, help me make sure I've got this right.
Exactly.
Mhm.
You told me you're paying $200 every 2 weeks for this, you're paying your accountant this, I'm coming up with this amount. Is that what you're coming up with?
And make it a monthly column, so it's standardized. If it's 2 weeks of this, just multiply it times 2, and that's a month.
Okay.
I'll make a template tonight. I got a pretty good mindset for sure.
Watercolor, no.
And then if you know your price is a lot better, you're gonna more focus, you're gonna put more emphasis on that. If you know you're beat on price, then you're definitely gonna have to focus more on the benefits.
Yep. And if you've got a strong benefit, now you've got a double barrel shotgun. You can say, we're gonna increase the value, and you're gonna love this, because you're gonna save an extra $300 a month.
Have you ever seen
Well,
that?
Oh, yeah, all the
Where
time.
it's just gonna be cheaper?
Yes.
See, I feel like that's almost what I was trying to do, but I didn't have like the quantitative. I had
And
the qualitative, but
Right.
not the quantitative.
Exactly.
Chris, what do you think about it? What I like to do is, if we're looking at monthly prices, if it's $300 a month, instead of saying 300 a month, I'd say that's $3,600 a year.
Bigger number. Yeah, if you can do the math to the year, that
You
is.
young people can't do math in your head like
I was
us old
gonna say,
people.
I can, I really
Is that a
can, but you
challenge?
said, the thing that I was gonna ask you
There's
about
exceptions
the
to all
rounding,
that.
cause I did the 78 plus 125, and so I just said about $200. Should I ever give an about figure, or should it be,
About is okay. About this, and this is about that. Does that make sense to you? If you look at the calculation. Then it's obvious we're gonna have this value for you at this cost. Is there any reason we shouldn't get started?
okay. Cause I didn't know if you,
He's gonna be doing the value.
okay.
What else?
But you said earlier, don't get too focused on the price. In our business, that's always go to the benefits, and then the price, especially if you're better, that's important, but the benefits is the bigger deal. Because the time usually is worth a lot more than the cost savings.
And
You
it's-
save Alex a day a week, that's a lot of money.
And what you don't know is that he knows that Alex doesn't like doing the payroll. What's the price of that? Well, if I could save her a day, I mean, she'd make me breakfast in the morning, and these are all the things that would accrue,
His mind.
because it's his wife.
Or like you said, you found out he's a big Braves fan, you can go to more Braves games.
You said that.
That's-
Mhm.
I didn't even get that.
You and Alex, more baseball, right?
So how should we ask, Alex is spending one day, oh, okay, is she ever angry with you over that day spent?
No, it's not that. You can't ask that.
I feel like
It's-
I offend people.
Well, what happens is, your D wants to know, and you don't pause a little bit, it just pops out of your mouth. Just pause. And the more you practice, the more the right phrase is gonna come out.
Okay.
What else? Anything else? This is better, guys. This is better, we're coming.
I was always taught on the pause, the toe tap, you ever heard that?
So,
Because they can't see that if you know you need to pause and you're waiting for an answer, just say, I'm gonna tap my toe with my shoe 5 times.
I like that.
Just don't work that.
Just something to, because otherwise you think 5 seconds has gone by, it's only been 2 seconds. And they say whoever talks first loses, so. Yeah, I told him,
Gonna lose.
said he wants toe tap for almost 2 minutes, sat there
Oh, that
2
happened to me
minutes.
the
and
other
said,
night. I
Oh,
sat there for 30 seconds just staring at the guy, and he just stared back at me, and he's like, alright.
He said, all right.
He said, alright. I was like, alright. He was trying to get me to price cut a little bit, and
Wouldn't do it.
no, I wouldn't do it, but it was,
He's not gonna,
it was tense. He was a real idea, he just stared me down. I was like, oh gosh.
All right. Next week, I believe, I haven't gotten it confirmed, but Gary Rayleigh is gonna be our buyer. And he's gonna operate generally, did they get all the information? There's still some information that they didn't,
Yeah, still some stuff.
there's still some stuff that you haven't uncovered yet.
Is it, I don't remember. Oops. For the guy in 2 weeks, do you want us role playing for him being him, or just keep doing the practice for him? Do you want us to practice for him at all, or just keep doing it?
I'm gonna send him the profile.
So is he doing the profile or is he doing it himself?
I'm gonna send him the profile so he'll understand. I told him it's almost identical.
Okay.
But I want him to play him. So you have to probe for him. And you're gonna do it separately.
Not gonna see each other. That's good.
Do it separately.
If y'all want to practice for that guy, me and that's my personality style, so that'd be.
Okay.
Sure. All right, guys. Good session. Tommy, always appreciate it, sir. Thanks, Jay.
Always
Helping us
enjoy it.
in measure.
Always doing something every time I come up here.
Is it making the camera off?
Oops.
Is this your
Hope you like
signature?
this, Shane.